Good morning, happy Friday. I'm Brendan here with Trevor. Look at that big smile. We had some technical issues logging into Facebook, but here we are. Thanks for your patience. Thanks, Trevor, for sticking around.
Yep, no problem.
He was about ready to run out the door. I'm kidding.
He's crazy.
And Dan being patient too. So let us know where you're watching from. There's some rain on the camera earlier, Trevor.
Yeah, there still is.
Yeah.
Still is. Maybe not on the actual camera lens, but there's rain starting to pick up all around. I can hear it hitting the roof of this building.
Yep.
The acoustics of that roof, any amount of precipitation that's not snow that hits that thing, you could just hear it.
Yes.
Like, there'll be times where it's moderate rain, like not light rain, it's like moderate, like steady rainfall. And in here, it sounds like it's pouring cats and dogs. And then I go outside and I'm just like, it's not that bad. What's up with the ceiling in this place? It's like...
Well, there's a garage door there. I think when commercials used to be done live.
I was just about to say, but I don't know how much we're allowed to reveal, but since you said it, I will too. We are literally, this is literally a garage.
I think it goes back to the time, Trevor, when they did live commercials, brought the cars in.
Yeah.
And Dan, if you can put the graphic there at the bottom, I appreciate it. But I think that's what happened, is that you bring in the cars and then the roof. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a roof expert. A ceiling expert, but yes, you have a great point. You can hear every drop of rain.
To me, it's just like, it's probably just because the building is very old. I think that's probably all it is.
It's possible. But I guess it helps you as a meteorologist, right? To know what's happening outside.
It does, but also it gives me the wrong perception. I've kind of had to change how I look at it from inside here, right? Because like, if I hear it, I'm just like, that sounds really loud. It's probably not that bad.
And then you have to go outside. There are no
and then if I can't hear myself think, then it's like, okay, now it's actually bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lot of
tools. I still have yet to experience what hail sounds like on that. Like, it's hailed tons of times around northern Michigan in my time being here, but never here while I was in the building. And so I don't know what it sounds like yet.
Have you heard ice fall off the tower yet?
I have.
Yeah.
And it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I kid you not, it was so loud. I don't want to like over exaggerate, but I thought it sounded like a gunshot. And I've heard a real gunshot before, and granted, I did have ear protection when I heard the real gunshot.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it was very sudden because there wasn't anything happening here. It was during my weekend shift, and I was just chilling, and I was reading my book, and it was quiet, and then all of a sudden, wham!
Peeling back the curtain, pulling back the curtain.
And then I finally, I'm peeling back layers of the trauma onion that was that like solid 10 seconds trying to figure out what the heck had just happened. Yeah. I thought something broke like in here. It was so loud. It sounded like it was in here.
Yeah.
And I told Joe about that, our chief, and he had said, oh, you probably heard ice falling off the tower and onto the roof. And that's why I was like, why do we have the tower that close to the building? Like, come on.
I don't know. We haven't had, I've been here a while. We haven't had any issues.
You can't move it out like a couple hundred yards, like really.
Or move the building a little bit, yeah. Anyway, yeah, we haven't had any issues as far as I'm aware, so. Yeah, a lot of melting going on. Speaking of ice falling, a lot of melting going on as we can see behind Trevor there in downtown Gaylord.
Oh, yeah. I would be surprised if there are any roads outside of the eastern upper that have any snow left on them.
Yeah.
The northern lower probably doesn't have any at this point. Maybe some like back dirt roads have like a glazing, maybe. I don't know. But at this point, I would assume that almost everybody has melted in the northern lower. We're going to continue to do so. Right outside our studio, we've already lost a lot of the white, and it's already starting to look green again here. It won't last that long it won't last for a very long time. I'm like, we'll lose a lot of that snow. It'll look green for a few days, but it looks like we are going to get some snow back in the forecast later in the middle of next week. We're kind of tracking that a little bit, just seeing like, oh, is it going to change? And so far, the models over the course of the last 3-4 days have been consistent on the lake effect snow coming back. in the middle of next week. And it certainly does look like it. The pattern is shaping up to be that way now that we're getting closer to the time. I can put in my expert knowledge and kind of make sense of the pattern, what it looks like over the next few days, and then beyond that as well. So we've been anticipating today, and for that matter tomorrow as well, for the past several days now. I've had this day circled on my calendar, for lack of a better explanation. It's like, oh wow, like we're gonna be really warm again and have rain for the first time in a while. There's the look out on radar. Now for the majority of the morning, we had some scattered light rain in the interior and then off to the east. It's been kind of moving in, from the southwest and moving up to the northeast, as you can see there on radar. But over the past just like hour and a half to like 30 minutes or so, you could see the rain dramatically picking up in some areas. That's the boundary kicking off all the moisture, lifting that aloft and creating rain for us. And so within a few hours from now, once we get closer to the afternoon, we're going to see pretty widespread light rain. And with that rain falling, it's going to be pretty foggy. Muggy is not the right word, because muggy just for like warmer temperatures, but it is going to feel damp. Like it's just dampish. It's going to feel wet outside. Don't forget your umbrella if you have any plans to go outside today. I'll show Stormcast. Here we go. Right, get him up. All right. There is the afternoon. So a lot of this is going to be coming in almost like a straight line almost before the system gets here. And that's the boundary. It's basically kicking off on both sides of the boundary is that rain. And there's a look over the afternoon and evening. So yeah, pretty consistent rain up through parts of the northwest, so like Leelanau County through like parts of like the shoreline of Lake Michigan, Ludington all the way up to Benzie and Leelanau County, Northport, Traverse City, towards Petoskey and up to the bridge in the eastern upper. We're kind of in like the direct line of fire of this boundary, and I think we're going to end up getting the most rain out of all this. And then we'll have another swath come through. It dries out a little bit. I say a little bit. I use that term very, very sparsely, but a little bit. Not much in the later evening, but then we'll have another pretty wet spell come through very late overnight. So this, what you're seeing on screen now, is that's overnight. So a lot of us will, like, in terms of being outside, you won't have to worry about that. But more moderate to significant rain, maybe not significant, no, I'm not going to use that word. More moderate and steady rain at times for some areas overnight with that system moving through. And then in the morning, we'll dry off a lot of our areas. Now, I do think the eastern upper will still get a decent amount of rain tomorrow. The back end of the system, it's swirling in just so that the eastern upper parts of the tip of the mid will still get fairly consistent light rain tomorrow, whereas the remainder of the northern lower, just a few showers lingering around. Like 4 or 5 days ago, it looked like it was going to rain all day on Saturday, but the system has sped up pretty significantly since then. So now, actually, it doesn't look like there's going to be too much rain on Saturday. And by the end of Saturday, it should be all gone. By the very end of Saturday. Still left with foggy, wet conditions on the ground for a few days, waiting for that to dry out. The cloud cover is not going anywhere. We're still going to be very cloudy over the next few days. It looks like we could get some sun on Monday, and that looks like the only day of the week where we could get any. And then it looks like we go right back to cloudy, overcast again. And then, of course, with lake effects, there's always the caveat. You could get some sun outside of the main lake effect bands. And we'll see how that turns out, because not all lake effect events are the same. Some you have overcast all day, and some you could actually see sunshine outside of the band. So we'll see what happens. A lot of that just depends on exactly how much the system sets up in a way. And if the wind is dry or not going over the lake, will kind of determine how much cloud cover we see for the lake effect event. A snapshot of our weekend. Well, I just did that. A snapshot of our weekend was the Stormcast. I just realized at the top of this, I had it on screen, but we didn't address the weather quiz. Brendan's not in here anymore, so I guess I'll keep talking about the forecast. Lows tonight will be above freezing everywhere. They were pretty much that this past night as well. But it will be even more so tonight. Some areas won't drop below 40 tonight, which is insane considering that it's almost January. But unlike last year, we're not going to be warm for a prolonged period of time. We should go back to normal closer to New Year's, when I was talking about it looks like we could get lake effect snow back in the forecast, that does, at this point, it does look like that is definitely happening. We'll get lake effect snow back in the forecast. We'll still have to iron out exactly how much. Of course, we're still quite a few days away from that, but it looks like cooler temperatures giving way to more lake effect snow right in time for New Year's. So they'll give us some more chance for some happy holiday cheer. And let's see how the visibility is doing. Are we still foggy? Yeah, we're still foggy. And I expect that to stay as much for the majority of the day. Some areas won't have to deal with it. Traverse City, outside of the very early morning, hasn't had any fog. But other areas, especially Cadillac, Big Rapids, Mount Pleasant, Houghton Lake area has had fog all morning. And so has the entirety of the eastern upper and parts, the tip of the Mitt, Pellston, Sheboygan, Petoskey, Rogers City. Foggy, foggy, foggy. Patchy fog. It's not super dense, so it's not obstructing our view too much. But fog is still fog, and that could still lead to travel concerns. So be careful of that. And that's pretty much all I got. That's the now. I talked about the future. We're going to get a lot more rain today. I guess I could show one last thing. I could show the amounts of rain as well. The new model just came in. I could tell. I was looking at the HER, and the model for the HER looked a little bit different just now when I was looking at it than it did whenever I showed it on air earlier. So we can see this should be an updated amount of the rain, and it hasn't changed much. The eastern upper still looks like it's going to get the majority of our rain. The earlier model showed like there were some areas that were going to get an inch. I don't think so. I think most areas will get probably around a quarter. The eastern upper parts of the tip of the Mitt could get half an inch or more, maybe a little more. I don't expect too much more than that. But everybody's got a chance for some rain today and an overall dreary day, regardless of where you are. No sun today. I already mentioned the cloud cover thing. No sun today at all. Very gray skies. I don't like to show the gray skies on the Today Cast too often because people don't like that. A lot of times I like to show like the white overcast clouds, but today I had to do the gray because that's exactly what it is today. It's dark. It looks like it's 5 p.m. all day.
Yeah. Well, friends in the comments are here to brighten your day. Ready for them, Trev?
Yes. And also, I didn't address the weather quiz, so we could do that and then turn over, or we could do it the other way around. It doesn't really matter.
Go ahead. You can read it.
So the average temperature in Antarctica in the winter, and I had mentioned this to Brendan earlier, but I'll say it again because obviously our friends weren't here for that. As Antarctica is an entire continent, just like any continent on the planet, temperatures across the landmass can change dramatically.
Yeah.
But we're talking about just the average overall, the entire landmass, the average. So that includes the warmer areas, which are still below freezing, but probably a little bit warmer than you would expect. And then the absolute just bitter cold areas that absolutely cannot support life. And all of that combined together over the course of the winter, what would that temperature be? And all the temperatures aren't negative, of course, because of course they are. It's Antarctica in the winter. Duh. Okay.
Which they're in summer right now, yeah?
Technically they are, yes, they are in summer now. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yep.
And even in the summer, they hardly ever dip above freezing.
So -10, -30, -50.
And
Give us your answers.
50.
Paul's watching from Rogers City. Hi, Paul. Gail's watching. Kingsley, it's raining, 37 degrees. Also raining where Chris is in East Lansing, 45 degrees. Joel is saying it's 40 there at the Pleasanton's Patriots Pub. Rain only, patches of snow left in his yard. Paula saying happy Friday from Boyne Falls, 39 degrees and drizzling. Susan Lash Sims joining us from Kalkaska. It's 36 degrees and she's reporting some light rain. Jerry is with us from Shelby Township. Enjoy your day. Paula, we'll get to your question for Trevor. We'll wait till the end because I imagine that'll take a bit. Dave saying hello from Breckenridge where it's 41 degrees and wet, double wet.
Yep.
At least I don't have to shovel it, he said. -30 is his guess, Trevor. Gail is going with the -30 option as well. Paula going with -50. Kathy said happy Friday, good day to make homemade bread and soup.
And stay inside, yeah.
Maybe make a bread bowl, put the soup inside.
Oh yeah, bread bowls are great.
Delicious. Joel guessing -30. Mark saying good morning from Zephyr Hills, Florida. 62 degrees, misting, but getting up to 80 for a high there in Zephyr Hills. Have a great weekend as well, Mark. Thank you. It's 36 at Jackie's house in Kalkaska. It's cloudy. Negative 30 is her guess. Hi, Jackie. My mom's watching from downstate. Hey, Mom. She said,
Hi.
Happy Friday, Facebook friends. Brendan and Trevor did a good job together. You are a trooper, Trevor, with filling in. Hope all the crew had
Anytime. I'll never say no. Not like I have a choice, by the way. If I get told to come in, it's not exactly like I could say no. But I would not if I were given the choice.
We appreciate it, Trevor. And she's hoping all the crew had a great, relaxing vacation. Happy holidays, everybody. Exciting day for Benji and me because I'm going home to them to celebrate the Christmas.
Yes, you mentioned that your family is doing a thing this weekend now that you're once you get a chance off from work over the weekend.
Yep,
So
doing a
have
later
fun.
Christmas celebration. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mark saying good morning from Fremont, Indiana, 45 degrees. Susan still has a lot of snow on the ground on the northern end of Kalkaska. Her guess is negative 30. Paul, Trevor, is it going to dry out enough after the rain so there is going to be a coating of ice on everything when the cold weather comes back?
I wouldn't think so. It's going to be dry for too long. Now, there is a chance for some PM mix on parts of Sunday and also, again, Tuesday. But for the most part, some areas may have a slight glazing of ice, but no, I don't think we're going to get enough rain to put like ice cover anywhere. And it's going to be way too warm for that anyhow. By the time, I would think anyway, by the time the roads dry up, it will still be above freezing because it's going to stay above freezing through, it looks like, at least the end of Monday into Tuesday. Most areas. Now, we could turn back to freezing overnight in some areas by as early as Monday night, but definitely not tonight, and probably not Sunday night into Monday morning either. And by that point, a lot of the roads should start to dry up because most of our rain for many people will be gone by tomorrow morning, basically. Again, there's, going back to my forecast, there is still like a few showers around, but not nearly as much as today. And when it comes to pavement, you'd be surprised how quickly water, if it's not snow, how quickly water dries up. Like a couple, like 3, 4, maybe 5 hours of no rain, and it's as dry as a bone.
There you go.
So I wouldn't expect ice, like mass ice cover anywhere. Maybe on your car if you don't tend it and you leave it out. I think that's possible. Probably some frost in some areas too. But as far as the roads are concerned, I don't think we'll have any problems in that department.
Good question, Paul. Thank you. And then Jackie wants me to tell my mom Happy New Year. So Jackie says Happy New Year, Mom. All right, back to the question from Paula. Where is it? Trevor, what do you think about the Red Wings coach change?
I
Any
do
thoughts?
think it was necessary. I think they took way too long to do it, if I'm being honest. They should have done that like 15, 20 games ago. It goes without saying, for those who do actually pay a lot of attention to the Red Wings, last season was a great year. Now, they missed the playoffs, of course, but with how they've been recently, nobody was really expecting them to make the playoffs, so it was really exciting to see them come so close. And now that they did get so close at the end of last season, they were one game out of a playoff spot. They were so close. So many incredible finishes at the end of last year. It was really exciting. With that in place, new expectations were, okay, the team's still relatively young. They should get better. And if they do get better, if they were that close, they should be in a playoff spot this year. And the exact opposite has happened. The Red Wings have looked horrible all year. I try as much as possible to watch all hockey. Now, I'm a huge Dallas Stars fan. They take precedent over everybody else, of course. But when the Dallas Stars are not on, or after that game is over, or highlights or whatever, I try to watch as many teams as possible. And I think I've gotten a good grasp at this point of how all the teams play, where most of the teams sit. And I can confidently say the Red Wings have played the most insufferable, boring hockey like all season long. They've looked absolutely horrible. And they look dead. Like, they don't even, like, some of those guys don't even look like they're having fun. Like, they get their butts kicked almost every night. I mean, to me, that 5-1 loss to Montreal a few nights ago was like, that was the final straw. You can't be losing 5-1 to Montreal. And it wasn't just like the goalie had a bad night. they almost got outshot by triple as much. And then they followed up that horrible performance with a 4-0 loss to St. Louis. The coaching change was desperately needed. You need a new voice in that locker room. Somebody's got to light a fire under that team's rear end. And I mean, at this point, if I'm Steve Yzerman, I'm looking to make some changes before the trade deadline. Personally, you got to get rid of Tarasenko. That guy's not doing anything. I was one of the only people I feel like that called out almost immediately that was a horrible signing. I was like, I don't care if the guy's two-time Stanley Cup champion. He doesn't fit this team's window. He doesn't fit this team's time period. There's a lot of changes you could have made. Tarasenko was just not the right signing. I think you could probably ship that guy off somewhere and get a decent return for him. You should have re-signed Shane Gostisbehere. I don't know why we didn't re-sign Shane Gostisbehere. That was dumb, letting him walk to Carolina. Maybe he wanted to win. Carolina's actually a good team this year, and the Red Wings are quite simply just not. They are not. They look horrible.
Well, Paula, hopefully that answered your question. And Dan agrees. So what is the answer to the weather quiz, Trev?
It's -30. I heard a lot of people say -30. It is -30. And again, as I mentioned before, vast differences across the continent. Some areas on the warmest part of Antarctica they average around 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so above zero, right? Like, that's not too bad. Like, that's not, you wouldn't want to live there, of course, but that's actually not, if you're clothed properly, that's not dangerous to human life. Now, the other side of that, the most southern points, like near the actual South Pole, like the average temperatures there are closer to more like -80 or -90 with insanely high winds. And that is not sustainable for life. So over the course of the entire continent, -30 sounds about right. It is Antarctica after all. It's a desert wasteland. And people sometimes will tell me that it's a tundra. No, it's not. It's a desert. Antarctica is actually technically classified as a desert, even though it's snow.
And we have those standings.
Yes, of course. And Director Dan will take the victory this week. A solid 3 out of 4. Brandon 2 for 4. Producer Drew. I still call him Drew, even though that's what I've always called him, is Drew. And we share the same
Trevor's
first
in the
name.
house, yeah.
Yep. 2 for 4. And our Facebook viewer Kathy was the one who tuned in today and got in the answer. So thank you for that.
And we do have Stephanie watching, and she has a question for you, Trev. Is there freezing rain in Gaylord? Currently 36 degrees.
No, there shouldn't be freezing rain there. I think the temperatures aloft are way too warm for freezing rain right now.
Okay. There you go, Stephanie. Thanks for watching. And coming up Monday, we'll be back 4:30 to 7. Heather will be back. Sarah, Gibb, Madison. And so Madison will be live out in the community once again, starting in our 6 o'clock hour.
I missed our Madison live shots. That'll be. It's good. I'm sure it'll be good to have that back.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Keeps the show moving and grooving.
Yep.
So thank you, Trevor Roubadeaux. Thank you, Trevor Drew. Thank you, Dan, for filling in. And then you guys are able to sleep in.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about
How does that
you
sound?
were the only original member of the of the morning crew that was here this week.
It goes for everybody here at the station. Everybody works hard and does a lot, and so I'm glad they were able to have their time off. Trevor, you were off, what, last week?
Yep, I was off the entirety of last week.
Yep. And then Dan, when are you getting some time off? He said, good question.
He said, good question. He doesn't even know. By the sounds of it, he's like, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Dad, there's no time off. You can go talk to the boss man, see if he has some days off in the bank for you. We also have Lori watching from a rainy Cedar. I completely agree with Trevor's assessment of the Red Wings.
Yeah, I don't think there would be very many people who would disagree. They've not had a good season. And at this point, I don't think they're going to make playoffs. But we'll see what happens.
Aren't the Stanley Cup Finals, in like June or something?
The finals are usually in June. They get pushed back later and later each year.
Oh.
Last year was like I think the latest Stanley Cup final we've ever had ever. It was in like middle of June when the Stanley Cup champion finally got crowned. Usually it's like late May is when late May, very early June is usually when we have a Stanley Cup winner by then. It went pretty late last year. And a lot of that is because of their excess scheduling. A lot of times, for whatever reason now in the Stanley Cup final and sometimes in the conference finals as well, they put 2 days of break in between the games rather than just one. And so the rounds take a lot longer. I don't know why they decided to do that now. They need to stop doing that.
It always throws me off. Like, it gets warm outside, and then it's hockey.
Yeah, there's still hockey playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us here on this Friday. I'll be back with you Monday. Trevor, you get a day off on Monday? Do you?
Yep, I'm back to my normal schedule next week.
Okay.
With the exception of Wednesday. So normally I'm off Monday, Tuesday, and then I work Wednesday through Sunday. I actually have Wednesday off next week as well as Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Because between this week and all the holiday pay that I get this week and also the holiday pay that I'm going to get next week because I'm working for Joe around New Year's.
Oh,
yeah. Gotcha. They want to prevent me from getting too much money is probably the easiest way to put it. Yeah.
So you'll see more of Trevor's stories on air. And then hopefully
those will be returning the week after. Those will be returning the first full week of January. So not next week, because next week, right after New Year's, I'm filling in for Joe that Thursday and Friday. So I'm off Monday through Wednesday, and then I'm Joe, like PM weather, Thursday through Friday.
I see, gotcha.
And then the week after that, I go back to my normal schedule. And I'll be back to making stories by 2 Wednesdays from now.
And hopefully we'll see some more drone video with Dan being off morning, so he'll be able to get outside and do some flying. So
a lot
keep
of
an eye
stuff
out
will
for
be
that.
returning pretty soon.
Yep, getting back to normal. Well, again, thanks for your time on this Friday. We'll see you later. Have a great weekend.